Welcome to Pedantic Handwavium, the podcast that tries to explain fictional words using science. I'm Simon.
And I'm Jeff.
Now, listener, me and Jeff have been talking for about an hour now, trying to figure out what to do. We wanted to do. We got a suggestion from our good friend of the show, Tommy Sparks, to do what was the exact. Was there an exact, or was it like more general?
The exact, Tommy Sparks gave us like 4 or 5 like Sentai teams or tangentially related Sentai teams.
So what we decided to do was there's a show. Is it called Gokai Rangers? It must be called Gokai Rangers.
I don't know if it's Gokai Rangers.
In all of the research we have done today,
I can pull it up.
I think it's Gokaigers. That's what it is.
Yeah, I think it's Gokaigers.
Anyway, it seems like it's like a smashed together combination of like all of the other Super Sentai teams, which makes
probably at least to date they were able to call on a bunch of them.
Well, it's at least up to 39. So I'm going to say that it's quite a few teams. And so it's kind of a smash together of all of them, and we got real lost in the weeds as we were like, what is going on in this show? Apparently no one has ever videotaped the show in any form that we can view online, so we're kind of guessing at it, but we feel like we have some stuff that needs explaining, mainly weapons, because, I mean, if you're doing a Sentai team, the coolest thing is either the outfits or the weapons.
Right. Also, I did pull up the actual name if you want that.
What is the actual name?
If you think the listeners also want that.
What is the actual name?
The actual name is Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger.
Okay.
So there you go.
I'm wondering now.
Sound it out, people.
There were seasons to this show? I'm sorry. I gotta stop coming across stuff and reading anything that's on my screen right now.
Uh-huh.
So these, as far as we can tell, this is a show that's a lot like a lot of the Super Sentai shows where you have like this big baddie that's coming to Earth. But this one in particular is there's a crime syndicate that's coming to Earth to do something. I couldn't find what their evil plan was. I think it was just to kill people.
To do evil things, yeah. I'd imagine. Just general evil things.
Yeah, like... As we mentioned in the previous episode, things like chewing ice in quiet rooms. That's the kind of thing they do. Like real heinous stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So in the show they use these things called mobilates to transform into other Super Sentai teams that existed before them.
Well, I think to transform into their own...
Okay, so their own Super Sentai Earths. As long as it's the same color? No, they could do it. They could do it to anyone. I think they can do it to any Super Sentai person. Like the red Super Sentai, whatever his name is, Captain Marvelous, who is, the leader of the Gokaigers.
Right.
You can
tell because he's the Red Ranger.
You can tell he's the Red Ranger, yeah. But I think they just didn't want to call him the Red Ranger anymore. He can turn to the green Dino Ranger if he wants to. He just needs the correct key to do it. So they have keys, which are really just miniature replica versions of themselves.
Right.
That's like the simplest version that we can come up with. There's a lot of like interconnection where they like try and draw threads from all the other shows, but it's way convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
This is an intense show. Anyway, so the first thing that me and Jeff came across was a weapon called the Gokai gun. Jeff, do you want to explain what that is?
It's a gun.
It's
well, the Gokaiger thing is they're like a pirate themed. So think like
a
the
musket.
Old bad pistols that pirates would have on a bandolier full of pistols.
Like a flintlock. Is that what that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a flintlock pistol. Like no rifling. Mm-hmm. It looks really cool, but also, I mean, yeah, it's a gun. But the thing is that it does. We found that it does fire some sort of energized bullet. And there's some kind of weird properties to this bullet, including things like their swords can deflect the bullets, but they don't deflect them in like angles that make sense. They will fly around the enemy and then hit them eventually. So there's that we have to kind of explain, and then we'll get to the other the other things. But let's deal with this. Like, what are the bullets? How are they kind of weirdly controlled or deflected by their swords?
Right. So, and I think it's I don't know if it's important, but I think it's worth mentioning that like when the Gokai guns aren't powered up, like I think they are just guns. Like they are just shooting bullets. Like they have to be powered up in order to shoot like these energized like charges that are different color depending on which ranger is shooting it.
Well, that way you can tell which ranger is brutally murdering a different enemy.
Well, they're not murdering them; they're turning them into toys.
You know what? That might be worse than murdering them. It's kind of like adding insult to injury. It's like you're not dead, but you also can't move, and you're a toy. Yeah, so when they get powered, something has to happen. Do we think that the bullet still exists in the gun? Like, do we think that the powered up Gokai guns are still also firing bullets? I know that we know so much about this that we can make an educated guess on this. Okay, you think it's still firing?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's still firing bullets. It's just something about, like, the key is activating another, like, mode that charges the bullets or something.
Gotcha. Well, okay. So I feel like we kind of have to answer what the key is doing to the gun. Like, do we think it's just, like, the gun has, like,
I think, yeah, it just has to get, like, turned on.
It just has to get turned on, like it's locked. The cool parts of the gun are locked.
Right. It's just a normal, not cool gun before that.
So we don't think that, like, the keys are kind of like thumb drives, where they're, like, installing a program in the gun that allows the gun to transform.
I think in that instance, no. I think when we get back into the Mobilates and the Gokaigers turning into other rangers, then there might be something about the keys.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm just checking, Jeff. I want to make sure that we hash out this lore as much as possible. I want to make sure that the last hour we've spent researching this was worth it. Anyway.
I mean, I know once we're done, you're going to go dive right back into the weeds to learn more about all of this.
Probably not. I'm probably
I guess it's going to be worth it.
So, yeah, so we think this. So there's bullets, and then there's like an energy field around the bullets that is shaped like a bullet, correct? So do we think
maybe it's just as the bullet itself? Well, I guess it gets like bigger when you look at it,
and it
so
glows.
It'd probably yeah.
I mean, all these things are clues as to what it is, what it really is, when this really happens in the world.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I think it's surrounding by an energy field. So what I'm thinking is, so there's an explanation in the Halo books for what the plasma rifles are, that the Covenant hold, and it's essentially that you're firing like a really strong permanent magnet that's surrounded by an ionized field.
Mm-hmm.
So like the magnet just kind of tugs the field along behind it.
Okay.
The issue I've always had with that is that that's not really how, like, that's not the shape that that plasma fields that plasma would form in a magnetic field.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would kind of form like two bubbles that were like close, maybe touching, but not quite there. So what do we think is going on? Do we think that? Oh, what about this? What do we think that do we think that the bullets are more like superheated titanium, like what you get in an electron gun, and so that it's like giving off electron like ionizing radiation as it's going?
Okay, yeah, I think that's a better explanation than I could come up with. At least.
Well, I think that, I mean, yeah. So then why don't the guns like melt people though? Like, that's what, like if it's like a plasma of some kind.
I mean, yeah, they're also not shooting it like at other people in clothes normally. Like, they're also armored in whatever they are wearing.
You're right, and it's just heat shielding. That's all it is. All this fancy armor is just heat shielding. So we do have this kind of weird weird thing where there's also something called the Gokai Saber, because again they're pirates, so they just can't have swords, they have to have sabers.
Right.
And we know that the sabers can somehow both deflect those bullets, and they can also fire their own sword beams.
Right.
So do we
makes sense?
So the issue with this is that like a gun makes sense because like a gun fires a projectile normally, but swords kind of don't.
Generally not, no.
So then what is it like? What is this? Is the sword also firing the same kind of plasma energy?
I mean, it might be. I don't know why it would necessarily retain the sword shape, though.
I also don't know why the sword wouldn't be getting smaller, because if you're like it would be essentially firing blades of sword. Sword blades? Sword blades. That's what they're called.
Let's see. It can perform either an energized slash or fire an energy blade.
Well.
So.
Well, I was thinking. So maybe the blade isn't like the full like. Maybe that's where they have to swing the swords, because it's like let's say like some kind of fluid that builds up on the edge of the sword, so that when they swing it, it's like the momentum from it will like carry the fluid off. Like I'm thinking like a really viscous fluid. Like they have ionized molasses on their swords.
Sure. I mean,
you sound unsure, Jeff. What's wrong?
It's the ionized molasses is where you lost me.
Well, but I think I'm trying to think of a good thing that would like. What if it's like
something other than molasses?
Yeah, something that makes sense. And there's really nothing coming to mind. What if it's like so the electron sprays that are used in chromatograms and spectrometers? Not chromatograms, but spectrometers.
Right.
Like, what if you had like a really ramped up version of that where it's just like an atomizer that can produce enough ionized gas? Like there's like, so what I'm saying is like it's like a pepper shaker. It's like inside of the sword there's like it's hollow, and it's constantly producing this like energized ionized gas. It's just like super heated. And then when they swing it, there's like holes on one side so that it like flies out. Like if you were to like take a pepper shaker or like a ketchup bottle and just like swing it around really fast.
Yeah, I think that could then make a little more sense on like why it kind of keeps that general sword shape also.
Yeah.
Because like as you swing it, like it just is all expelled through like the end or something to keep that shape.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. That's like a good idea. So, but how does it reflect? So knowing that, how does it reflect the bullets? And remember, it doesn't just deflect the bullets. Like the bullets can go in whatever direction and orientation and flight pattern that the deflector wants them to go into.
Now, is it going in whatever direction the deflector wants, or is it going back to who shot it?
Jeff, you watched the same video I did.
That's true. I think they mostly circled back around the person who shot it, generally.
I think it... Okay, so let's just stick with that. But I think it does have to do with, like... There's a lot of control that goes on in the circling back around to hit the person. Because, again, it's not like a clear arc or, like, a direct reflection of the bullet. It's like the bullet... It's like a heat-seeking missile from a cartoon where it, like, circles around... the enemy.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe, like, the bullets are, like, have a charge based on who's shooting it. Like,
you mean there's not just a positive and a negative charge in this world, but there's, like... Is that what you mean?
Yeah, something to that effect. So, like, each gun is shooting different unique bullets, and deflecting them is changing that polarity. So it's, like, just reflected back to the person and will eventually hit them.
Okay. Well, okay. What if we did it like almost like an entanglement thing, where if we're moving fast enough and with high enough energy that when the person who fires the the bullet is the originally entangled person with the energy wave, and then the person who reflects them adds their entanglement into the system. So I don't know where I'm going with this. I think this is wrong. But I was trying to think, like, because part of entanglement is like you have to be operating, or a good description of it is you have to be operating at like macroscopic scales as well as microscopic scales. So like if you have two things that interact with each other, their momentum has to be the summation of their original momentums, but they also are like getting far enough away where there's no communication between the two of them. If that makes sense. So what I'm saying is that like what if at like a quantum scale, that's what it's affecting it. That's how it's deflecting the sword beams. But and it has to follow like macroscopic rules of like momentum and angular momentum and things like that. But because it becomes entangled with the sword, the way that the sword is swung or that it's used after that changes instantaneously the properties of the energy wave that have been deflected by the sword. Does that make sense?
Okay. There's, I think, enough to work with, or at least enough explanation to be blended by science to justify it.
Yeah, the listener, you understand what I'm saying. Just whatever you think I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. Whatever makes sense to you, that's what it is.
Right, because that's what he's saying.
Exactly.
That's what makes sense to you.
Yes.
In particular.
Yes. So now we get to talk about one of my favorite weapons, and I think one of Jeff's favorite too, because it made so much sense and there was so much information about it online. Wait, no, I forgot. We forgot you the Gokai Scrambler. Or did we explain it? The Gokai Scrambler is when you can fire your gun and then wave your sword, and the two energy beams combine to form a super-powered blast to kill enemies. Sorry, not to kill, to turn them into toys. To give them a life worse than death. That's what the Gokai Scrambler does.
So what exactly is going on with that?
I don't know. I feel like I explained it pretty well.
Can be used in combination in their team finisher, Gokai Scramble.
Yep. So they gotta they stand still, and each of the Power Rangers fires their gun, and then does some crazy choreographed sword moves, and then the sword blade energy things meet up with the back of a bullet, and it becomes like an arc with a little pointy front end to it, and that hits the enemy, and there's a big old explosion, and next thing you see our toys on the ground.
Well, I think that would just be a function of how the bullets and the sabers interact with each other.
So this is the way you're saying, kind of because they're coming from the same ranger, they're in essence the same.
I don't think they're necessarily coming from the same ranger with the Gokai Scramble.
Maybe not. I thought they were, though. I thought the Gokai
Scramble
I
think you're talking about the Blast and Slash.
Oh, maybe I'm talking about the Blast and Slash. I'm sorry.
The Blast and Slash is when they shoot their gun and hit it with their swords.
Okay.
The Gokai Scramble, 2 of them are using double swords, 2 of them are using double guns, and then 1 of them is doing the Blast and Slash.
Awesome. Okay. So they're pretty much the same principle, I'm going to say. But maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's if they can hit the bullet with their sword, they can do the kind of entanglement thing I was talking about earlier. But instead of doing it in where they can control momentum and angles, instead they do it with speed, so they can increase the velocity of their bullets, because their swords are also swinging in that direction, and their bullets are now entangled with their swords.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes as much sense as the last explanation.
Good. Okay, so now we can move on to the really good stuff. How about the Gokai Spear?
Man, is there a lot going on with the Gokai Spear?
Yes.
So I guess just as an overview, you have the spear mode, where it looks like a trident. I guess
but
under some conditions it can What?
It's called a javelin, though. Those are 3 different kinds.
Is it called a javelin?
Polearms. Yeah, I have it called a javelin in my notes.
I think it's called the spear.
It's called the spear, but it's described as a javelin. But it looks like a trident, which are all 3 very different polearms.
Right.
Okay, that's what I was saying.
Sure. Oh, yep. Nope. Now I'm seeing where it says it's like a javelin.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a spear / trident / javelin that also turns into a gun.
Yep.
And also has an anchor mode,
yep.
I guess.
Also called the gold mode.
Where it's kind of swung around like a hammer.
But it's not only swung around like a hammer. The gold mode is the thing that like brings out the spirits of the 7 previous 6 Power Ranger, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with just I think the anchor mode is the most convoluted. Let's just do the spear and the gun.
Okay, so yeah, let's start with the spear mode.
So it seems like the spear and the gun mode are not the same as the Gokai gun and the Gokai saber. Because you have to physically throw the Gokai spear. And the Gokai and the gun mode is like similar, but not the same. I think I think we're fine saying that the Gokai spear gun is the same thing as the Gokai gun, only that it's shaped like a spear. Like it's like, yeah.
Or it uses that like material to form it into the gun mode.
Yeah. But then
yeah, I think what it says, I think it's stronger than the Gokai gun. Though.
I wish it...
Yeah, because it does the Gokai supernova as opposed to shooting bullets.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And the Gokai supernova was something that I could find no video of whatsoever.
Right.
I'm remembering this now. Okay, so why is it stronger? I guess is the first thing to say. Is it because
for the gun mode? Are we doing gun mode first then?
Yeah.
I do not know. There's more like just mass material to work with.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
It also might be. I mean, I'm trying to think like this, but I mean, if we're doing what if it's like the inside of the spear is rifled?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's just like clearly a superior technology. Like he's in like Napoleonic era firearms, while the rest of them are back in like I don't even know when flintlock pistols were popular to use. Were they ever popular in actual history?
Flintlock, yeah,
but like the pistols,
sometime after Matchlock.
Well, yeah, I know, but like I think of like flintlock as like a musket, like a long gun. Like when?
Okay. Well, I mean, it's also just as the firing mechanism, no? So you could just use a smaller barrel and make it a pistol.
I guess I have no historical basis for when someone would have used this except for pirates. Like that's
right.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's not a great historical basis because, well, they're pirates. I mean, they don't really. It's hard to tell like what's real with pirates. Is what I'm saying. I don't.
Well, yeah, because the whole pirate deal was just marketing, so people gave you their stuff.
Exactly. So did people actually use flintlock pistols? Is what I wanted. They must have. Dueling.
Yeah, no, they definitely did use flintlock pistols.
That's a historical basis for flintlock pistols. Duels use flintlock pistols.
Okay.
Like Alexander Hamilton was killed by a flintlock pistol.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know when flintlock pistols were a thing.
I think it was like a big thing because you actually couldn't, during a duel, you couldn't actually aim the bullet you were firing at the person you wanted to kill.
Right.
So like it didn't really matter. Like that's like where it becomes like really confusing if Aaron Burr actually meant to kill Alexander Hamilton, because some people say they were like, yeah, he like dead on aimed at Alexander Hamilton, and some people are like, yeah,
which means he definitely would have missed.
Yeah, like or like he may have missed at that point, but it wasn't like a great shot. And other people were like, yeah, no, he fired off into the distance, but because of the horrible accuracy of the gun, he still ended up hitting Alexander Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, okay, sorry, that was a little diatribe about my knowledge of firearm history.
Firearm history.
So now let's do
all centered around whether or not it killed Alexander Hamilton.
Yes. So now, what do we think is like the I think I have an idea about this, but the spear, when it gets thrown like a javelin, is like super powerful and energized and stuff, right?
Okay. Yes.
So what I'm thinking is, I'm assuming the bullets are similar to the bullets that are being fired from the Gokai gun. So you have like a metal.
Yeah, that was my assumption also.
Yeah, like a metal slug. And I think it'd be kind of interesting if although it might also be a bad idea.
Javelin mode, it's just the whole spear is the metal slug being shot.
Kind of. I was thinking like in my brain, the Gokai spear has like a hollow tube in the middle, and that's like the rifle barrel for the gun.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So maybe like when he throws the javelin, like it fires up that rifle, and it uses the momentum of firing a bullet to like increase the speed of it.
Okay.
The issue being that I realized is that it's firing a bullet.
The person who threw it is immediately behind the spear getting shot.
Yes, that's exactly the issue that did not occur to me when I started that sentence.
I still like it. I like the explanation. I think the
maybe it just like
person who throws the spear just has to be quick on their feet.
Well, I was thinking like maybe it heats up the spear so much. It heats up the bullet so much that the bullet just vaporizes, but you still get that like concussive blast coming out of the back of it.
Okay.
That pushes it along. Yeah. Oh boy, this just feels more convoluted. I feel like we're like. It's already such a convoluted story, and then we're just like, you know what?
I feel like the only way to explain it is to just make it more convoluted to get back to where we started.
Oh yeah, definitely. So now do you want to talk about the gold mode, anchor mode for this spear?
I mean, I don't, because there's a lot going on there. I guess when they're in gold mode, the spear transforms into anchor mode, which summons the spirits of 7 of the past 6th Rangers. Mm-hmm. And then they can fire energy blasts into the remaining 8 6th Rangers that all then attack the enemy.
Is it energy blasts into? I thought it was energy blasts. I gotta find.
Let me see. Along with the person fire energy blasts that transform. Yeah, I think the energy blasts then transform into.
Oh, that makes sense. Into the 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's only 7 energy blasts that are being fired, or is it 7 energy blasts?
Well,
plus
it's 7 plus the
Silver Ranger
person in gold mode. Yes. So it is 8 energy blasts total, turning into 8 Rangers total.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
The numbers check out.
Yeah. So what is? Boy, that's tough.
Yeah. I'm not even sure where to start with it. I guess unpacking it, we just kind of want to take it one step at a time. And how are they summoning the spirits of anything? Let's start with that.
So, I mean, a spirit is a nebulous concept.
Right.
So I'm thinking and this might get into later on, we're talking about the keys, the power that is delivered to the Rangers is it's like an AI system that's had several iterations. So they can go back to a certain version update of their Power Ranger firmware.
Okay.
And the anchor mode is you can draw upon 7 separate firmware
iterations of the firmware.
Okay. I'm thinking that they're save states for the Rangers. Because you gotta think each
right.
Ranger
I mean, I guess the issue though is it also just makes another guy who exists in the world for a little bit. Yeah, right?
Yeah. Is he a real guy or is he an energy being?
I mean, I guess it doesn't say. I don't know why they would need to summon an energy person to shoot an energy blast.
I also think it'd be really funny if if the Silver Ranger was the one Power Ranger without any special capabilities, and instead he just has he has schizophrenia, and so the other Rangers are is the 7th of the 6th Power Rangers here? Can we talk to them? Are you talking to them?
Right.
Is the 8th member here? wait, let me get this straight. So when he does the anchor mode,
right,
he summons 7 of whatever rangers. I think they're silver.
Yes. Well, the 6th ranger, whichever one that happens to be.
Okay, we're gonna call them Silver Ranger because there's too many numbers.
Yeah.
And then those 7 rangers summon an 8th ranger.
No. Then the 7 rangers plus the one that summoned the 7 rangers shoot energy blasts. So that's 8 total.
Okay. Now I see what you're saying. Is in
there's still the one guy who's using
right.
necromancy.
It's a necromantic staff. What's the staff?
Anchor
is it
mode.
Night in the Museum or is it the Mummy? Where it's like the staff of Amun Ra?
Couldn't tell you.
I think it's the Mummy. Man, you gotta I think it's the Mummy. And it might be Indiana Jones. I don't know. My brain is filled with Super Sentai stuff now.
Just pushed everything else out.
Yeah, just all of my engineering background just completely gone. No idea what I'm doing. Okay, so
yeah, I guess starting out, how is a person summoning 6
the 7
other people?
Okay, so let's say necromancy is off the table. What if he's not? What if he's not summoning the 7 people, but instead it's just him, but he's moving really quickly?
Or maybe
faster
it's not
than the frame rate of the camera that's filming him, so it looks like 7 people.
I don't know if I like that one.
Really? Because I was gonna get
maybe...
into side shutters, so as it's refreshing across the side, he is moving before the refresh rate, and that's how you get all the ones. It's fine. What were we gonna say?
Well, yeah, and that's why they can only do 7.
Yeah, because that's as fast as you can do. That's the width of the window that they can go through.
I guess I don't know how limitations of a camera applies to what's actually happening in the real world.
Gotcha. Well, because you gotta look.
I like the explanation. I just don't know how I can translate it entirely.
Okay, so it's not necromancy. It's not him moving really fast.
Or maybe it
is him
is him moving really fast. Maybe he's just moving the spear really fast.
What?
And it's projecting the different people.
So on top of being a gun, this is also some kind of hologram. Oops, I'm trying to cross my legs on my desk, and it's not working well for me. So it's also a light show that produces holograms of dead friends of his.
Right.
Okay, so the issue. Okay, this is the issue I have with this entire system. All the things we're ever going to come up with is
everything has to move very, very fast.
Not only that, but
no matter the explanation.
If the guys are not really there, why? If it's some kind of illusion or something like that.
Okay, I see. Then how can they shoot a thing?
Well, that was it. I was going to say, why are they there? What is the practical reason to have 7 copies of yourself perform an action if you're the only one actually performing the action? Why not just perform the action?
I don't think we should limit the decisions to making tactical sense.
Okay, you're right.
That being said, yeah, my explanation makes less sense than one guy moving very fast.
Okay, but there's got to be a better. What if it is necromancy? Okay, because remember we are.
Oh God, necromancy's back on the table. Okay, continue.
Back on the table. Because remember, we are talking about that we will be talking about the mobilates and the keys if we get to that eventually. This episode, me and Jeff were like, do we really have enough stuff to talk about?
Yeah, and here we are, talked about 2 things 40 minutes in.
So the thing is that the keys and the mobilates, we know that they can summon the armor of the guys. So what if instead of it summoning the actual guys, it's just summoning their armor? It's
Okay.
Like kind of like like terracotta soldier kind of stuff.
I can get behind that.
And that's why and the reason to do that is like you can get like that nice all 7 doing the same thing at one time. It's like a 7 times the firepower.
Right.
And I mean, I feel completely fine saying that there are hydraulics built into all of the armor so that they can control and operate themselves without a body inside of them. I don't see that there's a reason that's not the case.
Yeah, and I mean, that just supports all of the, like, acrobatics and stuff that they do, too. Like, they're getting mechanical help.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I think that makes the most sense.
Okay.
And
the anchor mode can only summon, like, 7 or 8 at a time, which is why they do it, like, in 2 parts like this.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I think it takes a lot of processing power to control that many robots for a gun to have. And if last I checked, guns don't have particular. I mean, they're like
much processing power at all.
Yeah, I was gonna make a processing power joke, but I couldn't come up with one. All right, moving on.
I was going to say, you do the edit. You can take as much time as you want to make your joke.
I don't want to edit that much, though. That's my goal. Every single time we record, my goal is, you know what? I just want to not have to edit this that much.
Just cut out those hours of dead air while we're thinking.
Hours. We're eating until 6 o'clock. We're like, okay, it's got to be something like, I don't know, gigahertz. Is that a thing? Anyway, I guess there's a joke there with like the dinosaur. I don't know. Never mind. I'm not gonna try. So now we have the key and the mobilates.
Okay.
Or do you want to do the galleon buster?
Where are we at time wise? Let's do the mobilates because we might run out of time trying to do mobilates.
But I feel like we've kind of explained the mobilates. Because if you think about it, it's more like it's summoning the...
Like the suit.
Yeah, the suit. And I was about to say, what if all the suits...
I think we also haven't described them at all.
Oh,
and we
true.
just feel like we have because we did too much research. The mobilates are phones that they have that they can plug keys into to summon different, like their armor and different armors from different rangers.
Yeah. So I was going to say... like maybe all the Power Rangers actually are wearing the same armor. It's just different versions of the armor, so the armor can like morph into all the different pieces. But then I realized we just decided that no, they're separate things. So I guess the issue. So I guess the thing that when they transform, they kind of just like their clothes dissolve into skin tight.
Well, is it the clothes dissolve into that, or is it like just being swapped out?
Either or.
With, like, space tech.
Either or. So do we think that they're... So I did like this. You had the idea early on, and I think it was that their armor is really sitting on their ship, the Free Joker, and that they're just kind of teleporting their armor around them.
The Gokaigers also stole a ship called the Free Joker.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah. From a crime syndicate called Madao. So do we think that that's the case, like where they're just teleporting their armor around themselves?
Yeah, I think that makes...
Do we want to get into how they're teleporting armor around themselves?
I feel like we've done teleport a few times already, haven't we?
But we haven't done a good job of it.
Well, it's because it's hard.
Yeah, I guess we haven't. I'm trying to think. What if it's like this? You know, like from the Iron Man movies where Tony Stark creates like the pocket armor that like builds around him.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
What if that's more of what we see from these different kinds of armor, like where they're like being teleported just nearby, and
they're just changing into them real quick.
Yeah. Or maybe they're not even being teleported. Maybe like underneath their awesome clothes, they have like. And I'm thinking of this scene from The Simpsons, I think it is, where the Homer finds like a Just Add Water campsite, and he puts into his mouth, and he drinks water, and like an entire tent forms in his mouth. So I'm thinking something along those lines, where it's like a super compressed version of their armor, and it's in like just like a disc that's just like on their person.
Okay.
and then all they do is just like activate that specific disc, and then it expands.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
And maybe that's why the armor is like it's like that kind of.
So it's less dealing with teleportation and just miniaturization of the thing,
or not even miniaturization,
and how to add mass to it.
I think they're carrying around all their armors at all points in time.
Okay.
And the reason I say this is because like the armor for all of the Power Rangers is like that really thin material. So I think that's why it is that thin material, so that it can be compressed, like folded up, very small, and it's very lightweight. I mean,
I like that.
That seems completely reasonable to me. Yeah. It makes me feel kind of funny that if you were to like punch an unsuited Power Ranger in the right spot, suddenly he's like covered in armor. Or she. There's female Rangers too. Yeah, so that makes sense, right? So do we want to talk about the Gokai Galleon Blaster? Because I'm excited about the Gokai Galleon Blaster.
Yes, the Gokai Galleon Buster. It is a gun with 2 barrels shaped like a ship,
and
that shoots bullets that are also shaped like a ship.
Yep. Does it shoot 2 bullets?
I don't know if it shoots 2 bullets that then together look like one ship.
I have an idea.
I think that would make more sense, because otherwise why have 2 barrels?
I have a solution to this, though, that involves it not shooting 2 ships. So what if so here's my idea. The gun, the gun like forms a field around itself in the shape of itself, right? Like if you have like an oblong shaped, I don't know, like magnet or something like that, the magnetic field will like kind of try and follow the shape of the magnet. Make sense? So that's what it does. Like it generates this like high energy field around it, and then the 2 barrels don't actually fire anything. All they're meant to do is just like send the field forward. So like you generate the field, and then like the barrels fire, and it like launches the field. So what you see is like the skeleton, like almost like a cicada molt of the ship, but made of like high energy power.
Right.
And maybe it's like the same Gokai Saber energy power, where it's like the inside of the ship is like constantly ionizing gas and like spewing it out, and then the two barrels are just like magnetic. They just fire like permanent magnets that just like push, or like a magnetic field. They just fire a magnetic
pull
field.
the field behind it. Yeah.
Look at that.
I mean, that it is on theme with the rest of their technology that we've explained.
Oh yeah.
So I like that.
I do too. Do you want to get into the Medal Crime Syndicate? Just the white hole portion of it?
Well, I didn't research how much was there, so if you think that's
there wasn't much
worthwhile and we won't be stuck in the weeds for the next 3 days, sure.
Well, I mean, we can also just erase it if it gets too long. So there's this,
I guess that's fair, yeah.
There's this issue. So who they're fighting is a group called the Medal Crime Syndicate. And they are from a place called the Genmu Castle on the Genmu world, which is a universe that is created around a white hole. And the white hole is described as the place where all the matter goes. Essentially, all the matter goes that enters a black hole.
Is it a black hole or any black hole?
I think it's any black hole. Black holes is plural in my notes, so I'm gonna say any black hole. Okay. So what is going on here? Also, why are the Medal so the thing is that when you enter a black hole, you just get compressed down to a very small size.
Until you fall out of the white hole.
Well, that's the thing, is that
that's not a thing.
No. That's not a thing, but it is actually kind of interesting. So one of the things about a black hole is that it is a space where light can escape, and because light can escape, it means that it is bending. It has to be bending space and time in a way where it actually kind of stops functioning correctly.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Mm,
Like think about it. Think about it like I mean, I think of it. Yeah, let me just think. Let's just sit here for a second. It's like if you were to fire a bullet, okay,
right.
and
Yep.
you have two things going on there. You have the time after you fire the bullet, and you have the
Mm-hmm.
space that bullet has traveled.
Right.
Now, imagine what you would have to do to either the space that bullet is moving through or the time that bullet is moving to get
Mm-hmm.
that bullet to not fire out of the gun, but instead to go back into the barrel. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So either you have to have like this kind of weird twisty space where it will
Mm-hmm.
invert the momentum and the time
Mm-hmm.
reference for the bullet, or you have time that gets twisted and it gets flipped around so that once the bullet tries to escape, instead it just ends up going back in time.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking is that maybe this white hole universe is just like if it's the ultimate it's like the inverse of that kind of. So like you've turned time around so much that it is now operating in the opposite direction. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
So it's
Like I feel like I know I intuitively know kind of where you're at, but I don't know how to like put it to words or how to make that have like any reasonable effect on the universe.
I mean, I am kind of like this. I know I have like this image in my head of how time operates,
Uh-huh.
or how light operates going out of a black
Mm-hmm.
hole, and it's like it like slowly turns into an arc, and it gets to the
Yes.
point where the light just goes straight up and back from a black
Mm-hmm.
hole, and that's like the deepest part of a black hole. Essentially, is where light won't even move away. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, like, what if you continued in that progression where you stop having light like going out and coming back, but you have
Mm-hmm.
light like coming back and going out? No, like you have like light. Yeah, it's almost like you mess with causality, where like the light
Yeah.
didn't generate from the black hole. The light is coming. It is the light is coming from the universe, and the only reason it exists is because it will
It fell into a
exist
black hole, or
later
it
on.
will.
So I'm saying that's why it's called a white hole. Like that's one of the reasons why
Mm-hmm.
it glows like that is because you know that there is light there now. It means that there will be light entering it in the past.
Right.
So it's like a flipped causality world.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, not at all.
Dude,
I like the explanation is a thing is there now because a thing will be there in the past. That's just how things work.
no, it isn't because now the issue being is that it's really tough to describe backwards causality.
Yes. Yeah.
It
No, you're right.
it is the no. So the
Okay. No, I think I see what you're getting at. Yeah.
yeah. So instead of it being like light was generated by the black hole and then it tried to escape and failed, it was that light failed to escape, so it was generated by the black hole because something has to fail to escape because it's already done that.
Are we talking about the black hole or the white hole now?
Both. So I'm saying the white hole is that zone where you have taken like the black hole to its extreme, and you've taken causality and flipped it around. So time is actually marching
Okay.
in the opposite direction. But because it's like the normal progression of time, there really isn't that much actually different about it. It's just that time is moving in reverse. But because time is normally moving in reverse, to them it would be time moving forward.
Okay. I guess then the question is, with the assumption that that works as described, how and why are they like interacting with the rest of the universe? I guess.
That's a good point because you're right. I just realized what I'm described is called the tachyon, and it doesn't. It doesn't, does it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's like that's why it has to be going through a black hole. Is that like if you can make it through that like infinitely small region, that's like the gateway from like this backwards world to our forwards world.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like, so they
Maybe
live
kind of like so it.
they live in a backwards world. But the only way for their
Right.
backwards world, the only connection between the backwards world and the forwards world are places where time essentially can stand still. And that's going to be that transition point between the backwards and the forwards. And
Right.
that only happens when you have enough of a space-time warping where it actually like loops back on itself, so it's as if there's no time. I'm pretty sure
Right.
what I'm saying doesn't make any actual sense,
No.
but like it's not
Like-
real science, but it's like bad Handwavium science.
Right. No. With like as the thought experiment and as bad Handwavium science, then like yes, time and space like inverts and then goes the other way.
Yes.
And like we'll just say that it falls into a spot, like a physical location in one place, and then falls out of a physical location in a different place, and that like they're falling into the black hole and out of the white hole.
Yes. And the yes.
And then I guess like the theory, like the idea would just be no, because then it's just like matter, like when things fall out of it that can be used for the people near the white hole.
Yeah. So you have kind of like
So-
this, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the issue is like there's a lot of potential causality and paradox issues with that,
I agree.
but I mean, they're also a criminal syndicate, so maybe that's part of their plan.
So I don't think there is actually a paradox issue with it because the two universes can never really operate. It's kind of like if you were to it's like an undertow. This is what I like where at one moment in time the water is pushing against you and and then the next moment in time the water is pulling you back out. And so it ultimately your body doesn't really move spatially. So
Right.
so the white hole version of yourself and the I will say black hole version of yourself exist at the same time period. It's parabolic, but because you can never move backwards through that time gap, you could never. Oh, you guess you could, but you would never really have the same exact person existing in the same place at the same time. The thing you could do is you would be able to create copies of yourself essentially if you just passed back and forth through that hole several times, and then you would just have future versions of yourself into the past, or past versions of yourself into the future, depending on how you're seeing time in the way. I think that makes sense, right?
If you're basing it on the rest of the explanation, I think sure, yeah.
Cool. I think that that's good enough, though. I think that I did a good job, and I'm real smart.
Big brain Simon. You got it.
Big old brain Simon. That's what they call me. Cool. So thanks for listening. This was our, very exhausted Super Sentai episode.
Part 2.
Part 2. Part dose. Well, no. Originally we did Power Rangers, not Super Sentai, which are technically different. Are they, though?
No, like Power Rangers are a Sentai team.
Okay. Well, it was close enough. This is the Goku.
The Goku. The
guy.
Gokaigers.
There you go. Cool. Anyway, thanks for listening. Please, if you enjoyed the episode, like us and subscribe to us on the podcasting app you are currently using. We are also on a bunch of other podcasting apps. If you maybe hate the one you're using and want to switch, and you're like, man, my favorite podcast isn't on this app, and you're like, nope, probably is, unless you use Podbean, and then no, we're not.
Right.
Yeah, so you can send us show suggestions like the ones we got today, and you can watch us try and figure out the lore of your very convoluted...
Figure out the lore and how time works.
Yeah. And you can do that. I mean, we got all of our contact information on our website, pedantichandwavium.com or pedantichw.com. You can send us those suggestions over Twitter at phandwavium. Is there anything else? Oh, thanks to Joe Sopchak for our theme music. And
I think that's it. You nailed it.
Yeah, and I think we're on YouTube sometime. I should really update our YouTube stuff.
Occasionally it gets updated.
Occasionally. It hasn't been updated in a long time. It's just so much, guys. So much work.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.